Hello, it's Ellen. I have just been, this word agreements has just been in my awareness today. And I'm talking about unconscious agreements that we're in. I mean, that we make them, but not consciously, but that we're in this agreement. We're in, and I say in it, I think that's probably purposeful because it's like the agreements are like a web or yeah, a web that's like holding a structure. So that structure could be family, familial, it could be cultural, it could be religious, it could be between in a marriage or any relationship. Agreements that are not spoken and aren't even in our consciousness, meaning we're not aware of them. Um, and these agreements are like, okay, this is what this um, organization or group. These are basically the unwritten agreements, and when and I think that the danger is that I don't know if danger is the correct word, but the the what keeps people from being their authentic self is when they're in a group, they become this, there's a consciousness that the group adheres to. And an individual, as part of that group consciousness, is going to be less apt to be themselves, to be the truth of who they are, because in many instances, to, I guess, go against the agreement of the group or agreements, the structure, the paradigm, the belief system. But I'm not even talking really about beliefs that we're aware of. I'm talking about like agreements that are part of the inner webbing of that group, and it's part of this group consciousness. I guess you could call it group think, if you will, but the individual isn't aware. We're in a time now where we're going to become more aware, and you may be becoming more aware of your own individual truth in each moment, and it just will show up. And for me, when this started, it was like this, like kind of like a scratching, not physically like on my body, but like oh, something a little knocking there. That oh, this doesn't feel comfortable. This not uncomfortable, because I think discomfort is great, like when we're growing and whatnot. But this was like I was uncomfortable, but what I was uncomfortable with was the agreements of the group, the unwritten agreements. And what I began to realize is that that's when I began to realize, oh, like these were hidden and other people are not aware of them. I'm really trying to think of an example at this moment, but I don't have one for you, not in this moment. And so hopefully, if it's supposed to be, this is resonating with you at some level. But really, this, I believe, is what being who you are is all about, and being the rebel. Like when you stand up in a family or in your relationship with your husband or wife, or in your, start to think about the agreements you have with regard to your church. Again, I'm not talking about a belief system necessarily. I'm talking about the agreements that just we go along to get along, as opposed to standing up, being who we are, speaking our truth. That's how we change the world, moment to moment, is doing that. And it doesn't mean we're nice all the time. Doesn't mean we are always appear positive to the person next to us. No, it is about being in your truth. And this is uncomfortable at times, until we get, until it's just natural to be in our truth. It's uncomfortable because we actually are clipping those agreements and people feel it. And but this is how we transform. It's the transformational fire of us being, of me, of you, of all, being our truth, being who we are. Um, and if people are meant to stick, they'll stick. If it's okay with the unwritten agreements of that group that you are being who you are, then great. Then great. But you'll know. You'll know. It will no longer feel like something you want to be a part of. So these unwritten agreements that are not conscious, but how do we become conscious of them? If this is resonating with you, just simply start to notice. Say, I'd like to become conscious and more aware of maybe some places in my life that I have an agreement that is keeping the peace. But really, when we start to have not peace in our own bodies, harmony not in our bodies, that's telling us something. And the way we come into the peace that we really already are is we uncover the layers that are on top of that peace of our real self, of our freedom to be who we are. So it's just about, claiming or saying, yeah, I want to become more aware. And then just starting to notice your thoughts, notice your feelings. You don't have to say anything initially to anybody. Just start noticing.